each of the example. Okay? Laban lang to, di ba, ha? Okay, so I have here two columns, invoice date and payment term. Better that every example that we are going to include in this video, there has to be date so we can able to understand how these things works, most especially the payment terms. So I have here example letter A to H. So letter A to H, say for example letter A, January 10, the payment term is 10 EOM. Until example letter H, May 7, 10 ROG. So obviously there are lots of plenty of payment terms that that is possible that you're going to encounter everything in the business world. Okay, so let's try to understand, interpret each of the example from A to H. Again, do not fast forward the video because I'm going to explain it in the best way possible, and I do hope that every one of you take down notes. Okay, so let's begin with example letter A, letter A. So I have an invoice date at January 10, and the payment term is 10 EOM. When I say EOM, as I told you earlier, it means that next month. Okay, next month. So 10 here means the days. 10 days next month. Okay, so if my invoice date, when I say invoice date, that is the time that I purchase an amount. I purchase some of the merchandises. So say for example, it begins with January 10 and the payment term written 10 EOM. How are we going to interpret that one? The payment for the invoice dated January 5 is due on February 10. See, why February 10? Because I have here EOM, again EOM, that is next month from the invoice date. And my invoice date is January. What is next to January? That is February. Why February 10? Because that is 10 days of the next month, because I have here 10. So that is now the due date. The due date is on February 10. Again, January 10 is the invoice date. The payment term is 10 EOM. EOM means next month. Okay? 10, a number before EOM means the first 10 days of the next month. Since my invoice date is January, the next month is February. Okay? That's how that things works. Meaning the due date is on February 10. Okay? That is example letter A. Let's proceed to example letter B. The invoice date is August 1. The payment term is 30 days. When will be the due date of your purchase products? So, August 1, after 30 days. So, simply, if you encounter payment term as 30 days, it means that 30 days after the invoice date or after you purchase the product. So, meaning, okay, let's try example letter C. So, the invoice date is March 2. And the payment term is 5/10 and N/30. What does it mean? So, the interpretation of this one is for the March 2, so it begins with in March 2, 5% discount will be granted on or before March 12. So, as you can observe, that is the first 5/10. 5% discount will be granted on or before March 12. My March 12, because that is the first 10 days from the invoice date. So our invoice date is March 2. What is the next 10 days? Until March 12. If the payment is done between March 2 and March 12, meaning you will be granted 5% discount to your purchase amount. Okay? So that is the first one. If you fail to pay that one in the first 10 days, meaning you are going to proceed on the second part. Again, that is N. When you say N, that is no discount amount or no discount rate will be granted to you. If not paid April 1, meaning that means no what? No discount amount, which means you are going to pay the full amount until April 1. Why April 1? Because from March 12 until 30 days, after 30 days, that is April 1. Why 30 days? Because that is written here. The last part will indicate how many days that we're going to pay that one. So, until when? So, that is 30. So, March 2, after 30 days, that is April 1. Take note that April and March has 31 days. So meaning the due date is until April 1. That's how are you going to interpret example letter C. Okay? Let's proceed. Example letter D. Take note, the invoice date here is October 27 and the payment term here is 15 EOM. Again, when we say EOM, it means the end of the month, meaning it means to the next month. Okay? So how are we going to interpret this one, example letter D? The invoice dated October 27. Again, invoice date, that is the time that you purchase your amount, your merchandises or product as a whole, is late of the month. Okay. So in businesses, we have to consider this factor. Once you purchase your amount, once you purchase the product late of the month. Okay. Take note that October 27 is late of the month. Hence, payment due date would be 15. Why 15th? Because that is written in the payment term. 15 EOM, that is the first 15 days of the next month. Of the second upcoming month, which is December. The question is, why in this example, we refer to the second month, where in fact, EOM only refers to the next month. Why we refer that one to the next upcoming month, which is December 15? Simply because the invoice date is October 27 and that's late already. Once the invoice date is already and your payment term is written as EOM, it means to the next second upcoming month. The question again is, when can we say that the invoice date is late of the month? If the invoice date is between if the invoice date is 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31, those dates are considered to be late of the month. Again, do not forget, when can we consider that the invoice date is late of the month? When the date or the day itself is 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30, and 31. That is considered to be late of the month. When are we going to observe late of the month? Whenever the payment term is EOM or due next month. Okay? In this example, October 27, the day is 27, meaning that is late of the month. And your payment term is EOM, that is next month. Since the invoice date is late of the month, meaning we are going to refer the second upcoming month after October, November, December. So meaning the due date is December 15. Why December 15? Because the payment term is 15 EOM. The first 15 days of the next month is November. Why we refer to December? Because the invoice date is late already. Okay? So that's how we interpret. In short, we have to consider these following factors in the business industry. The late of the month. Do not forget that one, as we solved many problems in this video. Okay, that is example number letter D. Let's proceed to example letter E. Your invoice date in example letter E is April 12 and the payment term written as COD. What does the COD refer? Okay, where does it refer? COD means cash on delivery. So if the invoice date is April 12, when are you going to pay or when will be the due date of that product or the bill you purchased? So meaning, you are going to pay that one upon delivery because the payment term is COD. Say for example in this video, invoice date is April 12, payment term is COD. Interpretation is, for the April 12 invoice, payment due date is upon delivery of the merchandise. When will the product be delivered? That is also the time that the due date is applied. Okay, COD, cash on delivery. That is, we are all familiar with COD once you are fond of ordering in Shopee or any online businesses. Once the product is delivered, you are going to pay, meaning that is the due date already. So that is another payment term that we have to consider. That is example letter E. Let's proceed to example letter F. For example letter F, our invoice date is March 12. The payment term is 8 over 10 EOM and N over 60. Again, EOM refers to end of the month. Question is March 10 late of the month? No, that is not late of the month, so we are going to refer next month after March. What is a month after March? That is April. So how are we going to interpret this one? The interpretation is that an 8% discount will be granted on March 10 invoice if paid on or before April 10. Why April 10? Again, you refer to the denominator. That is EOM, meaning it refers to next month. So what is next month after March? That is April. So 10 days after, 10 days, first 10 days of the April until April 10. Until April 10, April 1 to 10, meaning you are granted an 8% discount. Okay? Otherwise, if you fail to pay that one on the first 10 days of April, meaning you are going to proceed it here, this one, N over 60. Again, when you say N, it refers to no discount. So if you fail to pay that one in the first 10 days of April, that is next month after March, meaning you're going to proceed here. N means no discount. April 11 to the 60th day. When can you say when will be the due date? That is April 60 days from April 1, because it says here 60, so meaning 60 days long. If you pay that one from April 11 until the 60th day, meaning no discount is applied to you. Okay? No discount. So that's how we interpret example letter F. Okay? Again, do not forget EOM means next month. Okay, let's proceed to example letter G. For example letter G, okay, let's proceed to example letter G. As you can observe, the payment term in example letter G is new. Okay? So, the invoice date is January 5. The payment term is 10 plus 30x. How are we going to interpret this one? Okay? For January 5 invoice, the payment due date is February 14. Why February 14? When you encounter 10 plus 30x, it means that 10 here is the first 10 days after January 5. January 5, the first 10 days is January, January 15. If we encounter plus 30x, meaning plus 30 days. Meaning, 10 plus 30x means days plus an extension of 30 days. Meaning, 10 days plus an extension of 30 days after the date of the invoice. Therefore, from January 5, first 10 days is until January 15. Since you have 30x, you have to extend that one plus 30 days. And that 30 days is until February 14. Meaning, February 14 is your due date. Okay? So, that's how you interpret that one. 10 plus 30x. From the date of the invoice, plus 10 days, plus another 30 days. In short, 40 days, all in all. Okay? Again, do not forget what are those months na mayroong 31. What are those months na mayroong 30 days? Because it really matters when you do the invoice, interpretation of invoices. Okay, that's example letter G. Last example for this one is example letter H. For example letter H, we have an invoice date of May 7 and the payment term is 10 ROG. Again, ROG means receipt of the goods. Okay? So, interpretation of this example is that for the May 7 invoice, the payment due date is 10 days after the receipt of the goods. If the merchandise is received on May 15, then the payment due date is on May 25. Meaning, the due date only begins when the receipt of the good received by the buyer. Say for example, May 7. May 7 is the invoice date. That is not the date that the buyer received the receipt itself because it says ROG. 10 ROG. 10 days after the buyer received the receipt of the goods. Okay. Say for example, the buyer received the receipt on May 15. So from May 15, you count 10 days in order for you to know the due date. So meaning that will be on May 25. That's how you interpret ROG. Again, ROG, that is the receipt of the good. Okay? In short, in order for you to remember, in order for you not to make mistakes in excuse me, in interpreting your payment terms, the first thing that you have to remember is you have to identify the invoice date and the payment terms. And aside from that, you have to know what are the days, what are the months which has 31 days, what are the months which has 30 days, okay? And also what is the month which has 28 or 29 days. So meaning you have also to identify, is that year a leap year? Okay, because once the year is the leap year, meaning February has 29 days and you have to consider that one. Okay? So again and again, you have to identify. What are the things that you have to identify? It to have a proper interpretation of the payment term. First is to identify the invoice date. Second is to identify your payment terms. Second is you identify what are the months which compose 31 days and what are those months which compose 30 days. Is the year a leap year? Okay? Because the date really matters in identifying